These legs are going to be the legs for this end table, and what really gelled this particular project for me, I saw on, can't remember if it was Instagram or if I actually saw it in a vintage shop. They all kind of blend together for me, but someone had made an end table and used old yardsticks as edge banding on the end table, and when I saw that, I knew that I had these boards. I had DIY hairpin legs in the back of my mind. The next shop Beth and I went to, there was a whole can of yardsticks that were being discontinued from that vendor at 50% off, so I picked up 4. I made this top and I ordered these legs, so ready to get this table together. Pretty excited about that. This piece of material right here for this end table is actually from our old barn. It's about 12 inches wide. I've cut it down to about 11 and a half, I believe. Yeah, about 11. When I did that, there's this little broken off piece that when it went through the mill, it was rough cut, and it really didn't matter because it was for a barn. And when I finished it, I'm using DIY paints, chalk paint. Awesome product, by the way. This kind of got highlighted, and I thought, well, I'll just trim that off with a track saw. But as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking if I cut it just right, I can leave a portion of that, and I think it'll be a nice defect to include in the table that'll add a little character. So that's kind of my goal there. 2 things I want to do right now. One, I need to just put some finish on the top of this table, and I also want to put some finish on these yardsticks so they will sort of maintain their look. What I don't want to do is put a gloss or semi-gloss finish on these yardsticks because it'll look fake, I think. So I'm going to use Rust-Oleum clear matte finish that will provide some protection to the yardsticks but will not make it look like they've been finished. I'm also going to apply that on the surface of the end table. I want the wood and the chalk paint to be part of the experience of the end table. I don't want it to be all glossy and look like it's had a plastic finish applied to it. I want someone to touch this and feel like they're touching old barnwood, which is what it is. So first thing I'm going to do is just lightly brush off some of this chalk paint. And all I want to do is just remove some of it from the grain, which sort of enhances that weathered look. And it makes the chalk paint look a little less obvious. One thing I like to do is pay a little bit of attention to the ends because that chalk paint tends to build up on the ends. And this is a nice way of just removing some of that. All I'm using is a wire brush that you can get at the home center. I got this one at a farm and ranch store in the welding section, made by Forney, and it's a pretty good sized wire brush. It's perfect for wire brushing this barnwood, and this is brass. I also used it on the barnwood on the whiskey bar and the trim, and that removed all the softwood and sort of enhanced the weathered look to the trim. Now that I've brushed that tabletop, just take a little compressed air and blow off all the dust, and I think that looks perfect. Next thing I'll do is I'll apply a couple of coats of this clear matte finish from Rust-Oleum. Now what you'll notice is the clear finish will melt away some of the chalk paint. I don't think it actually melts it away, but it makes it more transparent. And I think it sort of enhances that barnwood look, makes it look a little bit more weathered. So I'm just trying to make sure that that looks somewhat uniform. We'll let that dry, and I'll probably put one more coat on. So I think you'll appreciate that that gives it that aged look, and it's going to provide a nice surface. As some of you may know, if you've been following my channel or Instagram, USNERDOC on Instagram, we are totally off-grid on Mountain View Ranch. We built this barn with generator power, and I do all my woodworking and maintenance here on Mountain View Ranch using generator power. So I'm going to go start up the generator so we can fire up the track saw. That is exactly what I want. I maintained a little bit of that broken off spot, and the yardsticks are going to fit perfect. All right, 3 more cuts to go. I'm going to clean up this mess. I'm going to flip this around, mask off the table, and I'm going to spray paint the bottom and the sides black. And then I will install the hairpin legs. Now I covered up this end so that I would not get black spray paint in this fractured edge that I wanted to preserve, and also didn't want any black paint to make its way up through the crack here and get out on the surface, so I taped off both of those crack ends, and it looked like it worked out fine. Next step is to put the hairpin legs on, and I think I'm going to go ahead and get the edge banding on because I think it looks awesome. I'm going to mount the hairpin legs about 1 inch in from the edge, and I'll use this adjustable square to get myself aligned. Screws that came with the hairpin legs are a little long for this table. I've made a whole bunch of these black painted screws that have been quite handy on projects recently. I got the raw steel legs because I think that'll look the best with this table, but you can get these legs finished in a wide variety of colors. They're powder coated and very durable. Let's start out on this leg here. So I'll just use this square to get myself lined up. Wow. Well, that's exactly how I envisioned this, and I'm doing good on time. Actually, I'm procrastinating because I don't want to leave the ranch. I'm going to go ahead and cut these and mount them, but I think that's going to be a very cool vintage hairpin leg end table. I know Beth wants to sell this. I'm not so sure. I might want to keep it. Now, contrary to what you might think, and I know that I'm a little bit OCD, I am not going to start the edge banding out at 1 and wrap around like that, although that would be a reasonable approach. I'm going to try and center the save time, save gas, save money, one-stop shopping center, and I'll center that as best I can in the middle, and I'll cut it at either end. So I'm not going to worry about the markings as much as the graphics or the text on the yardstick. And again, what I like about these yardsticks, these used to be advertisement for stores. They used to be quite plentiful, not so much these days. I'll put a thin film of glue on. I don't want a whole lot because I'm trying to minimize squeeze out. If I get any squeeze out, I like to use baby wipes to wipe off the glue immediately. I'm not a big fan of leaving it and then scraping it off later, and I certainly don't want to ruin the barnwood finish here. Rather than measure, what I do is hold it up and I'll take a razor blade and I'll score that masking tape, and then I'll take it to my chop saw and I'll cut it on the chop saw right on that line. And then I'm going to use very small pin nails to pin nail this on, so between the glue and the pin nails the edge banding should be pretty secure. So I'm going to center that text roughly in the center here. So it looks like put tape at 34 and 11. And I'm just writing that blade right on the edge. 2 nice marks, I'm good to go. All right, I'll take this to the chop saw and I will be back. Nice. All right, good. And we'll work on just this corner right here. So this yardstick is flexing very nicely. I'm able to keep it nice and flush with the surface of the table. And just the scantest amount of squeeze out on the top, which is exactly what I wanted. Perfect. Okay, we're on the last one. This says Stanton Furniture. Just like every project, I'm sure you guys have had this same experience. In the beginning, I was holding them and marking them. Worked out great. I've got a nice edge all the way around. But on the second one, I figured out, let me just put some masking tape to hold it in place, and that has worked out pretty well. Allows me to let go and focus on those corners in a much more stable manner without worrying about the yardstick falling or moving. And this will be the last one to go to the chop saw. And then after this, I'm going to have to get serious and get ready to get out of here. I love being at the ranch, but I work tomorrow. Back to reality, unfortunately. Perfect. So this technique of scoring the back rather than measuring is much more accurate for fitting pieces. And your fingers, they say, are accurate to about 1/1000th of an inch. And I can feel everything nice and flat on both ends. So that's what I'm looking for. Now I've been, up until now, I've been throwing away these scrap pieces of yardstick. And as I was out there, I thought, I'm going to save them, because one thing I've been making are little business card holders. We're going to have these at the Barnstormers event. And I have a couple of plaques that we need to hold with something similar, and I thought that would be a nice little piece out in the front to act as a stop for a business card. So we'll experiment with that, but that's another nice little barnwood project. Okay, we got a nice little coating of glue on the back. This is the last piece. Okay, we're done. This video on this DIY hairpin end table is not sponsored. I did that on my own. I think they have awesome products. I encourage you to go check out DIYHairpinLegs.com. Check them out, and I will have another project, likely a whiskey bar with little short hairpin legs. That should be an awesome project. I just want to thank all the folks that have hung with me on this channel. I appreciate your support, and also welcome to all the new subscribers and viewers. I'd greatly appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to share this video or any of my other videos. All right, thank you. Be safe, and I'll catch you on the next video. There's a guy that follows me on Instagram that when I posted a photo of these legs, I said, what am I going to do? And he said, make a whiskey bar. And I thought, that is a clever idea. So my next whiskey bar, instead of having wood legs, I'm going to use 4-inch or 6-inch DIY hairpin legs, which I think will have a very nice vintage look.